Hey there, what if I told you that your ability to lead is actually tied to your ability to rest? Did you know that when you are a leader, your ability to really understand and maximize your rest is going to be so essential and so very important? High achievers, especially athletes, know that if they want to keep up their peak performance, that they are going to lean into rest. Hi, I'm Dr. Monique Flemings, and I'm super excited that you're going to be hanging out with me for a few seconds here as we just lean into grace, power, and rest, where I am here to encourage and empower women leaders to understand how they can integrate rest into their daily schedules and maximize their leadership potential. Oftentimes, when we think about rest being a nap. We think about rest being maybe a vacation. But did you realize that rest is actually a strategic leadership tool? Yes, it is a strategic leadership tool. And so, because we are high achieving women leaders in various arenas, we have no clue sometimes the amount of rest that is required to really be able to maximize our potential as leaders. But I promise you, when you lean into rest and when you begin to lead from a place of rest rather than overwhelm, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. And so I want to share with you a couple things here that are going to help you begin to even look at rest in a different way. When I talk about rest, I'm not talking about just a nap, although a nap is definitely needed and necessary. I'm talking about the ability to really be able to pull back, to be able to decompress, to be able to reset your brain if you need it, to be able to be in a place, in a space where you can take a pause. Yes, I call it taking a purposeful pause. I believe and I teach my clients how to integrate daily purposeful pauses in their day so that they can be their very best authentic selves as leaders. Many times, as overachievers, we don't even know that we're running on fumes because all of our friends are high achievers as well. Everyone in our circle are high achievers, and we're all out there really maximizing what we do because we love it as well. But I promise you, when you learn how to integrate a purposeful pause, you'll be able to not only lead from a place of rest and from a place of alignment, but also lead from a place where you do not have to worry about running into overwhelm. Yes. I want to say this before we get into my strategies really quick. I want to talk a little bit about the neuroscience of rest. When I talk about the neuroscience of rest, I'm talking about that ability to have cognitive restoration. Cognitive restoration. This is our time to decompress. This is our time to allow our brain to rest. Yes, we get that while we're sleeping, but we can actually begin to integrate those purposeful pauses during our day that will allow our brain to begin to get restoration. You know, we're creative people. We're always creating. We're always dreaming. We're always problem solving. And so when we begin to do that, that will help us so much in the area of our executive function, because oftentimes we are running into decision fatigue because we're always going, always making decisions, always training, always giving, always pouring. So I want you to have that cognitive restoration. Then when I talk about the neuroscience of rest, I'm talking also about emotional regulation. Emotional regulation. And let's be honest, sometimes our emotions are all over the place because we have not had proper rest. We are in meetings all day long. We're making sure that we are preparing reports, taking care of our clients, taking care of our various activities and responsibilities, and we don't get a chance to get proper rest. And so what happens is we find our emotions are not regulated. We have these highs, we have these lows, we have these highs, and we have these lows. And so when we look at the neuroscience of rest, this is all about having this daily integration. So we don't have these spikes and these lows, these highs and lows in our emotions, and we can be able to have a steady flow in our emotions throughout the day. And then lastly, when I talk about the neuroscience of rest, I'm talking about strategic thinking. Yes, Believe it or not, strategic thinking, because when we lean into strategic thinking, this is going to allow us to be able to make decisions from a place of alignment and decisions from a place of being rested, well rested, and decisions from a place of not being in a place of overwhelm and in a place of feeling like we must make a decision rather than being in a place of being able to make a decision from a place of having a little bit more harmony in our lives. I hope that makes sense to you. Now, I want to give you three, I want to give you three restful leadership habits. Three restful leadership habits. Okay. First thing I want to talk about is structured downtime. Structured downtime. Leaders know how to make sure that you have structured downtime. You know how to actually schedule some downtime for yourself, meaning you will schedule 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you need to step away from your computer, to take a quick walk, maybe around the building, to have a moment of quietness for yourself. It doesn't have to be long increments of time. It just has to be structured downtime. This is my time for me to step away, take a break, catch my breath, take that purposeful pause. And in doing that structured downtime, it actually allows our brain to rest. And it also gives you the ability to come back stronger than ever, as opposed to go, go, go. Sometimes we power through. Many of us will power through, power through, power through. And I promise you, power through is not a good strategy. Power through always leads to burnout. So when we want to power through, power through lunch, power through our meetings, I promise you that is going to catch up with us. Number two, deep work versus rest cycles. Deep work versus rest cycles. We have to realize that in order for us to have this level of deep work that we love, this high level of performance, this peak performance, it requires that we have rest cycles. We cannot expect our bodies, our brains, our creativity to be at peak performance all the time without having proper rest. Think of it from, a physical standpoint as well. Me being a physical therapist, I cannot expect a peak athlete to train 7 days a week all the time and not have a time for the muscles to relax, for their bodies to rest, and for their brains to even have a period of rest so that when they come back, they are stronger and they're able to hit those levels. It is the same thing as leadership. You cannot expect yourself to always be at a high level of peak performance and never, ever give yourself the time that is required to rest. So think about your deep work versus your rest cycles. Basically, you cannot be on all the time without having a rest. That is why sometimes as leaders, we have these periods of crash and burn. Yes, we do, where we're working really hard. We want to make that deadline. We want to get those reports done. We have so much on our plate. We hit it, and then we crash and burn. And then lastly, delegation as an energy management. It is so important to make sure that you are always delegating to someone. I know that we think we can do everything, but I promise you, as high achieving leaders, the most important thing you can do is make sure that your energy is being maintained because people are depending on you. You are driving the bus. You are flying the plane. You are the person in charge. And so your energy, your ability to lead others is needed and necessary. You must delegate. Focus on impact and make sure that you always delegate. Make sure that you are not doing everything yourself, because the more that you're doing yourself is definitely going to diminish your energy. Hey, did you get those tips? I'm so glad you got those tips. And I'm excited that you've been hanging out with me for a little bit. This is Dr. Monique Flemings, and I just wanted to share with you some great tips here in Grace, Power, and Rest on how you can strategically lead better, lead stronger from a place of rest, and build yourself up as a leader, knowing that you do not have to walk in overwhelm, but you can walk in and lead in alignment. Make it a great day.